I spent a couple of hours here at Aero India trawling through the big ticket, most visible items, something that has a big story behind them. Here's a look with my ground reports of the biggest eye catchers here at Aero India. Now, one of the biggest attractions, and no one should be surprised, at Aero India 2023 are the pair of aircraft that you see behind me. In case you haven't recognized them already, these are the F-35 Lightning II. They are fifth generation fighter aircraft and the latest fighters to be developed by the United States. They're in service with the United States, but you're wondering, what the hell are these two aircraft doing here at Aero India? Let me first tell you that the F-35 is making its debut here in India. These aircraft have never been in Indian airspace, certainly never on Indian soil, and here they are at the Yelahanka Air Base. The big question that we're asking right now is, why are these aircraft here? Remember, whenever an aircraft breaks cover, makes its debut here at the Aero India show, it basically means that there's something afoot. We can tell you here in India today that the F-35 has had an India connection for a very long time. Over a decade ago, the F-35 was said to be unofficially in contention for an Indian Navy requirement, but it has always remained on the sidelines of the Indian Air Force's own requirement. For a very long time, remember, the Indian Air Force has been trying to get fighters. They've been trying to get modern, multi-role, new generation fighter aircraft. Not been very successful. They managed to get a few Rafales a few years ago, but Lockheed Martin, basically the company that builds and develops the F-16 fighter, has been unsuccessful so far in selling F-16s here in India for various reasons, and the F-35 is basically the successor to the F-16s. This is the fighter that has replaced an entire generation of fighter aircraft in the United States Air Force, from Harriers to F-16s to F-15s to other kinds of aircraft. And now, for this fighter to come here at the Aero India show sends out a very big message. Is the United States saying, we want to offer you now the best? Are they trying to change the game for the Indian Air Force by saying, we're going to open up the doors to a fifth generation fighter for you? Is this something that will impress the Indian Air Force and the Indian government? Now, that's a tantalizing question to ask. What is beyond doubt, however, is that the F-35 has been one of the most expensive aircraft to develop by the US Air Force and the United States government. It has taken a long time coming. It was a fiercely fought battle, but the F-35 in many ways has proven itself. It still has various technical problems, many troubles, but for the F-35 to be here today, courtesy the US Air Force, courtesy Lockheed Martin, which has been extremely aggressive in its pitch to the Indian Air Force, sends out a firm message that the United States means business as far as India's requirements is concerned. Now remember, Aero India has also been about the big buzz over India's biggest military contracts. And now I'm going to show you how things have changed over the years at this particular show, but some things remain the same. And one thing that has been a consistent appearance at the Aero India show is this aircraft you see. That's the Boeing FA-18 Super Hornet. It's a US Navy fighter. It is in operation with many air forces around the world, and Boeing has tried for a long time to make this the newest asset of the Indian Navy. Now, the Indian Navy is looking for new generation deck-based fighters to populate its new generation aircraft carriers like the INS Vikrant. So far, the Indian Navy hasn't been successful in landing new aircraft for its aircraft carriers. It currently operates only the old generation MiG-29Ks from Russia. The LCA Navy, the indigenous LCA Navy, has proven itself quite well by showing itself worthy of landing on its new generation aircraft carriers. But the F-18 and its competitor from France, the Rafale, happen to be the only new generation fighters, and I'm talking about the fourth generation, that are still capable of carrier-based operations. But let me tell you that the F-18, in the recent reports in Indian media, doesn't have a lot of reason to celebrate, because by all accounts, it looks like the Indian Navy, after testing the F-18 and its competitor from France, the Rafale, it has indicated its preference for the aircraft that all of us here in India are familiar with, the Dassault Rafale of France. That's the aircraft right here. Now, the plane you see here, of course, is an Indian Air Force version, not a carrier version. But we are told that the Rafale is the aircraft that the Indian Navy has expressed a preference for because they find it to be much more compatible with its aircraft carriers. A lot of testing has already taken place in Goa. Some simulation tests have also taken place earlier. The Indian Air Force, the Indian Navy have been talking to each other. They believe that commonality might be a good thing if both the Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy operate the same kind of aircraft. There will be cost savings in terms of spares and maintenance. But that aside, the fact that the Rafale has been indicated as a preference makes it an explosive decision.